Hey everyone, and welcome to a very energetic review of the RØDE Wireless ME, a compact wireless microphone system that gives you full freedom of movement when you're recording your audio. This is the RØDE Wireless ME lapel microphone. It consists of a transmitter as well as a receiver that you can then attach either to your clothes or to your camera or computer or your smartphone to record your audio wirelessly. Quick intermission, because this is probably what you're wondering the most. Here's an example of what the audio quality sounds like using the RØDE Wireless ME raw and completely unprocessed. For comparison, this is what this would sound like using the microphone on my Sony Alpha 6500. And finally, here's an example of what the audio sounds like using the microphone that I usually use to record all of my YouTube videos, and that's the RØDE VideoMic NTG. It comes in at $150 USD, and you can purchase a second transmitter that can both connect to the same receiver. Now, this microphone came out a little bit earlier this year, so there's actually already a lot of great reviews out there for it. So in this video, I want to do things slightly differently. First off, I'm going to run you through a set of everyday scenarios in which you might be recording and talking to the camera, and show you those scenarios. One recording with the Wireless ME and one recording with your camera's default microphone. So you get an idea of the sound quality and how well it deals with background noise. And you get a better idea of whether it might suit your particular use case and be worth your money. After that, I'm then going to run you through the actual specs of these devices. I'm going to keep it fairly high level and what I think is actually relevant to utilizing these on an everyday basis. And finally, I just want to share a little bit of my own experience using this microphone and talk a little bit about what I like and don't like about it. Now, I want to be very transparent and upfront about this. RØDE sent me this microphone for review, so thank you very much for that, RØDE. They know I don't do advertorials, and I always try to be very honest and objective when I review some gear, but I also want to be very transparent and let you guys know. But that was long enough in intro already. Let's jump into the scenarios so that you can listen to and judge for yourself what the quality is like with the RØDE Wireless ME out in the field. If you're in your car and you love vlogging while you're on the road, this is what the audio quality is like using this microphone. And just for comparison, this is what it sounds like vlogging in my car with the microphone on my iPhone. Here's an example of the audio quality that you will get with this microphone if you're just out vlogging in a generally crowded area, such as the shopping center. Just for comparison, here's what that exact same scenario would sound like if you're just using your camera's default microphone. If for some strange reason you decided to film next to a busy road, here's an example of what the audio would sound like using this microphone. And just so that you have a point of comparison, here's what the same scenario sounds like using the inbuilt camera microphone. If you're a fitness influencer or an instructor and you want to film while you're working out, you will need a microphone that moves with you. So here's an example of what that would sound like with the RØDE Wireless ME. And for comparison, here's a likely pretty awful example of what that would sound like if you just use your camera's inbuilt microphone. Maybe out in the city or shopping center, you're not in a particularly crowded area, and this is the audio quality that you would get. And again, for comparison, this is what that same scenario would sound like with your camera's default microphone. Here's an example of what the audio quality would be like if you're out and about with friends and family having a meal at a pretty noisy food court. And just for comparison, here's what the exact same scene would sound like if you're just using your camera's default microphone. If you find yourself in a situation with pretty bad acoustics, like right now, me being in a room with square walls, this is the audio quality that you would get with the Wireless ME. For comparison, this is what that same awkward situation would sound like with your camera's inbuilt microphone. If you are filming outside on a windy day, you're likely going to get a fair bit of noise from the wind blowing over your microphone. And this is what it sounds like filming outside on a windy day using the RØDE Wireless ME. And here's an example of using the microphone with the provided furry head windscreen in the same situation outside on a windy day. Hey Tobias, how is it that you ended up being trapped in this mirror? That is a good-looking question. I honestly don't know.
If you are into ASMR, this is what it would sound like using this microphone.
Here's a bit of a range test using the RØDE Wireless ME, because this microphone is rated for a range of up to 100 meters as long as you're within line of sight of your camera and not totally getting out of breath. Oh God, I'm gonna be done. Whew. Now let's get a little bit more into the details and talk about the specs. The RØDE Wireless ME utilizes a Series 4 2.8 GHz digital transmission to be able to record audio over a range of up to 100 meters. And me testing that out in the park, that sounded pretty accurate. A really common issue when you're recording with lapel microphones is audio clipping due to a sudden increase in the volume of the input that's going into the microphone. The RØDE Wireless ME has a feature called GainAssist, which is an AI-based technology that automatically responds to sudden spikes or drops in the input volume for the microphone and evens them out to keep your volume levels even and the audio sounding professional. And for example, if I start speaking really loudly into this microphone, or maybe rather softly, GainAssist will automatically respond to the spikes to avoid audio clipping or your audio becoming inaudible. Now, while in all of the examples I was actually wearing the transmitter on my shirt, the receiver itself also contains a microphone on the back so that the person behind the camera, where the receiver is mounted, can also talk into it, so you can record two people at the same time. If you connect the Wireless ME to a mobile phone or your tablet, there's a number of supported apps that you can get from RØDE, such as RØDE Capture or RØDE Reporter. However, I found that it also just worked out of the box with the default apps on my iPhone, like the camera app. It was just plug and play and it just worked. If you connect it to your computer, it simply works as a USB microphone, and you can use it in RØDE Connect, OBS, or any other recording app that you might be using. In terms of connectivity, on the transmitter you'll find an analog TRS microphone input, as well as a USB-C port for charging. On the receiver, you'll find a USB-C port for charging, as well as connecting the microphone to your computer, as well as a 3.5mm TRS output. And the microphone includes all of the cables that you might need to connect this microphone to any of your devices. The RØDE Wireless ME comes with one transmitter and one receiver, but you can purchase an additional transmitter and connect that to the same receiver for a total of 3 microphones that you can record into the same system. Now let's talk about what I actually like about the RØDE Wireless ME. First and foremost, what you probably all care about the most, the audio quality is fantastic. Even at a wide range, as long as you're within line of sight, your voice comes through nice and clear without any issues whatsoever. Compared to your inbuilt camera microphone, especially in noisy situations like driving your car or out in a crowd, it cuts down a lot of background noise because it's much more localized to where it records the audio from. Now, one thing to note is that with all lapel microphones, I always find the sound a little bit duller, a little bit more muffled. And that's actually usually due to the fact that the microphone is mounted on your lapel, and so the sound gets shadowed by your chin. Just the nature of lapel microphones makes them a little bit more dull, but I am also comparing it to my RØDE VideoMic NTG, which is a fantastic microphone, and it just sounds a little bit more clear. There's a bit more high frequencies, and it just sounds a little bit brighter and livelier than any lapel microphone I've ever used. But for a lapel microphone, the audio quality on the Wireless ME is fantastic. Nothing to complain about. You'll hear your voice crystal clear coming through, and you can always post-process it a little bit if you want to push it a little bit further. The other thing I also really love about this device, it's just super easy to use. You simply clip the transmitter on, the receiver goes on your camera, on your mobile phone, or if you want to, into your computer, you just press the power buttons, it automatically syncs, connects up, and you're good to record your audio at up to 100 meters. Another thing I also really appreciate about this microphone is that while the clip on the back is a little bit stiff and it can be a little bit tricky to get on with just one hand, it fits into a hot shoe. So it fits onto your camera, or if you have a tripod mount with a little hot shoe adapter on your mobile phone or anywhere else, you can just clip that right on. Also, because it's quite a tight clip, means it doesn't just fly off if, for example, you're bouncing around because you're recording yourself during a workout. I was also pleasantly surprised that the microphone held up pretty well with its promise of a 100-meter range. When I ran about 100 meters away in the park, I still got crystal clear audio as long as I was within line of sight of the camera. When I vanished behind a tree and still talking, the audio would cut out, but then the moment I come back into line of sight to transmitter receiver, the audio would come back crystal clear, and I never had any issues with it dropping out. Finally, because I live in Melbourne and it's usually always windy, I really liked how well these furry windscreens worked. Now, they're a little bit fiddly to put on as you need to press them down and twist them, but once they're locked in place, there's no chance of them flying off, and they cover every single part of the microphone. And they did a really great job of cutting down all of the wind and the wind noise that you usually get if you're filming out on a windy day. There's actually only 2 small gripes that I have with the system. The first is that it's quite noticeable. It's not terribly subtle having this clip to your lapel. You can put it on the inside, but the audio might get a little bit more muffled. So it's not the smallest of systems. Also, because it has a glass front, which I really like, it's a bit of a fingerprint magnet. So if you're a stifler for how clean your devices look, it's quite easy to smudge all of that up. But other than that, I was really impressed with this microphone system. It's super easy to use. The audio quality is great. The range is really good. It was just versatile, and I had a lot of fun out shooting all of these different scenarios to see how well it would actually perform out in the wild. So if you're in one of those scenarios where you need to move around a lot, or you're not close to the camera, or you don't want a giant microphone and you still want some nice clear audio where you can hear your voice really well, I'll drop you the product links and other stuff down in the video description, so you can go and check that out if you're interested. And that is all there is to it. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it and you want to support me, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. It makes a big difference and I really appreciate it. All comments, questions or suggestions, just leave them down below the video. And with that, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I will see you later.